Call on Government Order of the Day, number 1 to number 4.
Electoral Amendment Bill, Committee Stage continued. Families Commission Amendment Bill, Committee Stage. Border Processing, Trade Single Window and Duties Bill, Committee Stage. Trade Safeguards Measures Bill, Committee Stage continued.
I declare the House in committee for further consideration of the Electoral Amendment Bill, for consideration of the Families Commission Amendment Bill and the Border Processing, Trade Single Window and Duties Bill, and for further consideration of the Trade Safeguard Measures Bill. Mr. Chairman.
Mr. Speaker. The House in Committee for further consideration of the Electoral Amendment Bill, for consideration of the Families Commission Amendment Bill and the Border Processing, Trade Single Widow and Duties Bill, and for further consideration of the Trade Safeguard Measures Bill. Members, we move first to the Electoral Amendment Bill. When the committee last considered this bill, we were debating Part 1 in the Honourable Marianne Street. Order! Order. Members are leaving. Would they leave quietly, please? The Honourable Marianne Street had the call and has just on 4 minutes remaining if she wishes.
I do so
Honourable
wish.
Marianne
I call,
Street.
Mr. Chairman. Thank you very much indeed, Mr. Chairman. When we left off, the debate on this bill, the Electoral Amendment Bill, was interrupted by the close of business on Tuesday night. I wanted to make a couple of points, Mr. Chairman, about the supplementary order papers that are on the table with respect to this bill. When the bill first came to the Select Committee, it had in it substantial clauses, clauses 24 to 36, that really put into the law what was until then and is still now an administrative practice, and it was an administrative practice that we have come to know as the Easy Vote card. It was about the enrolment confirmation card, popularly known as the Easy Vote card, and it allowed for the administration of that to be written into the legislation. Instead of just being an administrative convention or a practice, it actually gave a purpose to the Easy Vote card, the the enrolment confirmation card, as it is referred to in the struck-out parts of this legislation. Mr. Chairman, there are 3 SOPs in front of us at the moment, one in the name of Holly Walker, which seeks to reinstate those clauses 24 to 26. So Holly Walker's supplementary order paper, Mr. Chairman, it's SOP number 420. It seeks to reinstate those struck-out clauses. Our further consideration of this bill and of the SOPs that have come up, Mr. Chairman, have caused us to think it would be a good idea to do what the Minister originally intended. And we would like to know why the Minister is now not supporting an amendment, an SOP, which basically reinstates her original proposal. I don't know why that is. I cannot imagine that the Minister, Judith Collins, is routinely rolled by her caucus on any matter. But if that is the case, then I would appreciate it if she advised the House of that, or at least somebody, one of her colleagues, got up and explained to the rest of the House, particularly those colleagues who are on the Justice and Electoral Select Committee, explained to the House why the Minister's original intention, which the Select Committee struck out for a range of reasons which elude me now, the things that the Minister originally intended. on reflection, we considered that the clauses relating, that's clauses 24 to 36, relating to the enrolment confirmation card should be retained. And I would like to see Holly Walker's SOP, Mr Chairman, pass. I have a feeling, or more than that, I've had an indication from the Minister that that is unlikely to happen. And I regret that, because the Labour Party now finds itself in the position of wanting to oppose this bill, having supported it because these kinds of measures ought to be multi-partisan and ought to be supported, Mr Chairman.
Honourable Marianne Street.
Thank you, Mr Chairman. These kinds of proposals around electoral law ought to be presented and passed in this House in a multi-party way, but if this continues to be excised from the original text and Holly Walker's amendment, her SOP, is not approved by this House, then the Labour Party has now reserved unto itself the right to vote against this legislation, and that is a shame. The rest of the bill is okay. The rest of the bill is fine, particularly now that the silly bits about rosettes and streamers have been taken out of it, because there was no good reason for having those there in the first place. Anything that puts in the law and makes more certain an easy way for people to vote ought to be encouraged by this House. It ought to be encouraged. And there is no, I cannot think of a reason, unless it is something that serves the National Party's interests only, why the easy vote card or the enrolment confirmation card process should not be written into the legislation. It is convenient. There was no evidence given at the Select Committee, in my recollection, of any wholesale fraud. There were one or two instances of fraud around the use of easy vote cards, but the system caught them. It worked, Mr Chairman. Those instances that have happened both on behalf of the Labour Party and the National Party were caught in the process. So wholesale fraud cannot be a reason for the deletion of these clauses. If that SOP of Holly Walker's goes too far, Mr Chairman, then I suggest that Andrew Little's SOP, which tries to reinstate only clauses 24 to 27, again, the Minister's original intention, but not as far-reaching as all the clauses that Holly Walker's SOP covers, then that should be accepted. If that is not acceptable to the members opposite, then please tell us why. Why is it that the enrolment confirmation card cannot be cemented in law? It is an administrative practice, it's true, and it will continue to be an administrative practice because there is nothing in the original legislation which this bill amends that refers to it. So it's an administrative practice, but why not cement it? Why not cement it in the law and make it there as a legal right that people have an easy vote card that they can present to a returning officer, the returning officer or polling clerk, the polling clerk then takes it from them so it can't be used again, and there is no mistake about who that person is. It covers off issues of disability. It covers off issues of ethnicity, of people with English as a second language, of names not being able to be understood or interpreted correctly by a polling clerk. It covers off all of those issues. And I cannot understand why this should be deleted and not reinstated. If Holly Walker's SOP is defeated by this House, and if Andrew Little's SOP is defeated by this House, I commend my own SOP to the House, which simply allows, by the amendment of Clause 24, for somebody to verbally give or confirm their name or present an enrolment confirmation card. So they can say who they are, or they give over an easy vote card. At the moment, the bill says they have to do both. And that begins to present a barrier. That begins to present a barrier for people with all kinds of disabilities, for people whose names are difficult for polling clerks to understand, or that kind of reason. Then it would make absolute sense for this to become an or and not an and, because the bill as it stands says that they've got to verbally confirm their name and give such other information that is necessary to find the elector's name on the rolls. Those two things, and those two things combined, can be a disincentive, can disadvantage voters from voting.
Holly Walker.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chair. I'm very pleased